Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I hope you're having a delightful day. I am so excited to talk to you guys about some high-end makeup that I think is worth it. I think maybe just 3 years ago, you never would have found me trying high-end makeup. I was a drugstore girl through and through, and I don't think I ever even thought about spending any amount of money on makeup. However, a few years later here, I have dipped my toes in, and I do have some things that I think are worth it. There's lots of high-end things I've tried where I think they're good, but are easily dupable, or you can find similar things at the drugstore that maybe are just at drugstore prices because they don't have as nice of packaging. Sometimes it's just packaging that makes high-end makeup so expensive. At least I think so. But there are some instances where I have to admit, where I'm like, okay, I do think this is worth the money and I would spend full price on this product. A lot of these things I have gotten at places like TJ Maxx because, you know, I have to save money when I buy these things. Very rarely do I buy things full price. So I either buy things at TJ Maxx or I got them 50% off during like a brand website sale or something. But whenever I run out of these products, I know I will probably repurchase full price because they are that good. Today's tea of the day has got to be the prettiest tea in my collection right now. This is called Daughter's Ring. I got it from Tea Viver. This tea is a jasmine tea, so it has a beautiful jasmine aroma, and it has been rolled into the most pretty little spirals. So I like to steep this one in like a clear steeper so I can watch them unfurl. It's very pretty and calming to watch happen, and it is when you can steep over and over again. As the leaves unfurl, they release more flavor. It's really, really good ice too. My tea has cooled down and is no longer hot, but it's still good. Okay, let's start with the complexion product I'm wearing today, and that is from MAC. This is the Studio Radiance Face and Body. This is such a classic product. I don't even know if I need to like introduce it, but if you have not heard of this product, allow me to explain it to you. So it is a very sheer to low coverage product, which a lot of times I'm like, there's beautiful things like this at the drugstore. Why would something like this be worth it? And it's because there's some technology going on in here. It's really, really cool. So if you apply this just with a brush, you will get a very sheer wash of this product like that. That's not really where the science comes in. The science with this product is when you use it, rub it between your hands to, I don't know, get it working, warm it up or whatever. When that happens, all of a sudden this very runny product develops serious tack. Like you can feel it when it starts to happen, and as you massage it into your skin, it forms kind of like a film. Like it sounds bad, but no, it's a really, really good thing to create a really, really pretty, glowy, finished looking base, even though it does not have a whole lot of coverage. When you do use your hands like that, it does give you significant more coverage than if you just used a brush. And by the way, you can probably tell watching the footage, I actually have a shade that's too dark for me, and the shade has worn off the bottom. I think it's N3. I think I might need to get N1 next time I buy this. So this also wears incredibly. I know I've told this story a few times on my channel, but I will share it again. There was one day where I had to spend all day outdoors and it was miserably hot and humid. It was 100 degrees, very, very high humidity, type of thing where your whole body just feels sticky and miserable. I came in after not checking my face all day and I was expecting to be a gross mess. This had worn beautifully despite the heat, humidity, and sweat. Like this gripped onto my skin and didn't move and looked beautiful. It hadn't even broken down. It just looked amazing. So I do not think I've ever heard anyone say that this can be duped. I don't think it can be compared to all the things I've tried. It's very much, it stands on its own. Just know that it is very radiant. They came out with the Studio Radiance version of this line, and I think they discontinued the original, which wasn't quite as glowy. This one is more glowy. So if glowy isn't your thing, you know, this wouldn't be for you. But there's definitely a place for it in my collection. And actually, this is one of the few high-end products I bought full price. This was one of those things I kept hearing people talk about, and I just finally gave in. I was like, fine, I'm gonna go buy it and try it. And in my heart, ache a little bit paying full price for it, but I think it's worth it. I would pay it again. Okay, now let's talk about a blush. I tried really hard to pick products from different categories today. First of all, so that I could do a mostly full face of them, but also so I wasn't talking about the same things over and over. So this blush, you can see it's just a simple little pan, and I bought it like this so that it was much more affordable. So this is from the brand Weis, which is a very I would call it more than high-end. I would call it a luxury brand, and part of the reason why it's so expensive is because it has very beautiful, heavy metal packaging. Full price, no, I can't even remember how much a blush from them is if you include the metal packaging. However, I bought the refill, which made it substantially less. And Weis does randomly have sales. They're also sold on Credo, which will occasionally have sales as well. So that's when I snagged mine. This shade is something different from anything else I have tried. So this is the shade Inner Glow. And it's one of those things that when you first start using it, you swatch it, you're like, is it gonna do anything? Like, it doesn't really look like a whole lot, but it's this interesting shade that's almost contoury, bronzery, and blushy at the same time. Like, I just look at what it did there, and that's just different from anything else I have. I don't have anything else that does that. And it's one of those formulas, like even though in the video I'm spending time tapping my skin just because that's what I'm used to doing, I didn't need to do that with this. This is one of those things that like instantly melts in. It's like tap, 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 and you're done. It doesn't leave any weird fingerprints as you're tapping. It just instantly melts into your skin, becomes one with your skin. And this particular shade does have a little bit of, I don't want to say glitters, but like little micro sparkliness going on. So because of that, I tend not to bring it up too close here, which I normally would with blush. I tend to keep it on the outside part of my face so I don't get anything too glowy going on here. I mean, you can see I'm still glowy anyway from the MAC Studio Radiance, but this in particular, I do keep to this part of my cheek. It does feel like a luxury formula, and it feels like a luxury color. That's one thing I've noticed with high-end makeup. Sometimes the formula might feel similar to something you could get at the drugstore, but oftentimes the colors are more nuanced and more interesting. In the case of the Weis, I haven't ever tried another blush formula quite like this. The way it feels when you put your finger into it, I don't know, I don't have anything else like that. It's not super balmy like the Tower 28 or like the Honest Beauty. Like, I don't even know where to put this. It's in its own little category of blushes that I've tried anyway. Since it is in a magnetic pan, I just tend to keep it in this extra little magnetic palette like this. If I ever buy more colors, which I think I probably will in the future, I really like the formula. Again, I'll just buy the refills to make it not as expensive, and you know I'll probably go for it on sale. But I do recommend. It's very, very good. Okay, let's talk about the eyeshadow palette that I'm wearing today. You guys knew it was coming. I bet you can guess what I'm wearing on my eyes without me telling you. It is the classic Lorac Unzipped palette. I was so afraid that this palette was getting discontinued. It was no longer on Ulta. It is, however, still on Lorac's website. So this palette has been around for a very long time, and I think it's continuing to stick around because the color story, if you're into rosy neutrals, is absolute perfection. I think it's got to be the bridal palette. My makeup always turns out when I wear this palette. And this palette has been out for a while, so it's not the kind of palette that has different sorts of textures in terms of some are glittery and some are like ultra foiled. Like, it's just got that kind of classic, very smooth foiled texture on its metallics, and then a really deliciously blendable matte formula. Lorac has a very powdery formula, but they're also very blendy. So I don't mind the powderiness, but I thought I would make sure and let you know in case you've never tried Lorac before. Lorac has been experimenting with other textures in their palettes, but in this particular palette, it's just the classic, smooth, creamy shimmer. When it comes to eyeshadow, there's often at least a few shades that I'm kind of like, no, I feel like this palette's perfect, which is why I chose this one. I do have a lot of palettes, many of them which I would say are very good, but this one, for me, it's still my favorite. I would say that if you have blue or green eyes, this type of color story will really make your eyes pop, and I recommend. Okay, let's talk about mascara. This mascara is one that I recently discovered a couple months ago. So I'm very, very happy to tell you about it. Again, I know I've been mentioning it a lot, but I really do think it's special. So this is from the brand Caliray. This is the Come Hell or High Water mascara. This is a tubing mascara, so that means that it will stay on your lashes until you decide at the end of the day to go in with warm water to remove it. Using oil cleanser will not take this off. If you sweat, it will not come off. If you cry, it will not come off. Unless you're crying really hot tears, maybe then. But I would trust this mascara while swimming if for some reason I felt like I needed mascara while swimming. So not only is it bulletproof and completely trustworthy to stay on my lashes. It also is a beautiful mascara in terms of how it grabs my lashes, lifts them up, and makes them look fluttery. Another really good tubing mascara is the one from Thrive. That one in comparison builds up really quickly and can sometimes look really clumpy, like it's just really, really intense. This is also, I would say, an intense mascara. I feel like really good looking lashes with it, but it builds more slowly, so you have more control. And in comparison to the Thrive, I would say the Thrive comes off with water in general. I don't know if I would trust the Thrive if I had really watery eyes, for instance. The Caliray, it really needs to be like warm to hot water to get it off. When it comes to mascaras, if there's a mini available, I always recommend buying the mini. You know, you're supposed to, between 3 to 6 months, replace your mascara anyway to avoid eye infections and such. So if you're like me, and often a mini will last you that long anyway, why not go with the mini? That makes this high-end mascara much more affordable. Okay, now let's talk about the lipstick I'm wearing. I am wearing a little bit of like a lip contouring lip liner around it, but the actual lipstick is from NARS. This was such a fun TJ Maxx find. I would happily pay full price for this. So this is the shade Dolce Vita in the sheer formula from NARS. So this is what it looks like in the bullet. It just kind of looks like a plain old pink. Let me just give you like one swipe of this so you can see how sheer it is. So that was one swipe, and now let me build it up a little bit. So this is one of those lipsticks that you can build up and build up and build up, and it will never look heavy or cakey on your lips. It's a very thin, lightweight, but at the same time balmy formula. And this is one of those your lips but better shades. I adore it. I feel like it goes with most makeup looks that I would be wearing. So if the sheer balmy your lips but better thing is your style, I have to recommend this one. Again, the shade, it's just spot on with this. For comparison's sake, I want to show it next to Black Honey so you can kind of see. This is another sheer your lips but better type shade, but Black Honey is much deeper. So this is Black Honey, this is NARS Dolce Vita. So if you're wondering about the comparison, they are very different. The Black Honey leans more perhaps purpley brown, whereas the Dolce Vita is more pinky nude, but still on the cool side. All right, there you have it. 5 high-end products that I think are worth the price and I would happily repurchase again. Well, okay, I don't know about the word happily because I don't like having to spend that much money on makeup, but if it got to the point where I finished my product, I would buy it again. Full price. Make sure to let me know down below what your picks would be for a video like this. And in looking around my collection, I did find a few more, so I could do a part 2 of this in the future if you guys would like to hear. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I'll see you again very soon in the next one. Bye!